Happy lunch hour, guys. All right. I know we talk about this occasionally, and again, I bring it up. A lot of channels bring it up. Getting out of debt. There's a good reason why. And if there's anything that will tell you that we are on the road to oblivion, it's debt. Now, some of this may come as a big surprise to you. We all know that you can't miss this, that the U.S. government is $30 trillion in debt. You see the U.S. debt clock ticking like a slot machine, all that, going on along, and all of us bitch about how much money the government spends that they don't have. Not going to disagree. However, how about all the money that individuals spend that they don't have? Now, I'm going to qualify this because in the era that we now live in of Bidenflation, you almost have no choice but to go into debt to buy something. I mean, forget about, the days of paying cash for a house are gone. The days of paying cash for a car, pretty new car at least, gone. Okay. But it's come to a point now where people are putting groceries on the credit card and financing dinner. I'm not talking about going to a restaurant and putting it on your credit card. I'm talking about going to the grocery store and putting it on credit. So the most recent numbers we have out of the Federal Reserve are February's. They just came out last week. Consumer debt. Okay, and I want to give you what consumer debt is. That's credit card, student loans, and auto loans. That does not include mortgage debt or anything like that. Taxes, God knows this time of year, we just finished with that. Consumer debt rose by $41.8 billion in February. Yeah. The analysts who watch this were expecting 15 billion. So we nearly tripled the amount of stuff that was put on a credit card, was financed. Now, mind you, that money's got to get paid back somewhere, or the bankruptcy courts are going to be really busy. Now, to give you an idea how much consumer debt we have in the United States, $4.5 trillion of consumer debt. So if the government's got 30 trillion, individuals have, on revolving credit, just have about 12% of what the government has. We ain't doing so good ourselves. Let's put mortgages in there. Everybody buying their McMansions, houses that they can't afford, all this sort of stuff. If you add mortgage debt to consumer debt, so basically any of the bills that you have that you're paying interest on, you being the American public, U.S. consumers have $15 trillion of debt, half of what the government has. And we're not buying tanks and airplanes and building roads and everything like that. We're living in a house with maybe some toys and a car payment that you can't freaking afford. That's where the United States is right now. Okay. And everybody wonders what Joe's going to do about his inflation. Gee, I have a tendency to tell you, look about 8,000 miles east and kind of go through that video I talked about this morning and put one and one together. All right. So, give you this. Just credit cards, only credit cards, no student loan, no car payment or whatever it is. In February, the U.S. citizenry added $18 billion to the balance sheet in credit cards. Our credit card debt is now over $1 trillion. That's smart money management now, isn't it? Okay. So all that comes to people paying interest. Let's figure this one out. How much interest does the average American pay. Mortgage interest. The average price of a house in the United States is $260,000. Okay. The average mortgage interest each year, right now, is $5,646. Pissed away. That's what you pay in the bank. Okay. Family has one car. The average auto loan interest that is paid by the American public is $895 a year. The average credit card interest is $855 a year. The average student loan interest is $641 a year. So think about this. The average amount of interest paid by each household, probably each individual, okay, you figure a couple has probably two cars, maybe two student loans. But let's just say the average household pays $8,000 in interest a year. Divide that out. There's 2,040 working hours if you don't take vacation a year. That's $4 an hour. Okay. So all this bitching that we've heard for the last few years about, oh, I want $15 an hour. Well, great. If you didn't borrow money up to here, you'd have the same at $11 an hour. Gee. Okay. This is what is causing all this. This is part of what is causing all this crap. And this is what the government wants everybody to do. Hey, we're borrowing money. How can we bitch about how much the government borrows when we're doing the same damn thing ourselves? Just putting that out there. But of course, you'll hear everybody say, but the stock market's doing great. Trump said it all the time. He tried to say, gee, the stock market was doing good, so therefore the economy was doing good. No, they're two separate things, okay? The stock market is still holding its own, no problem. We all know what inflation's doing to the economy right now, but the stock market's still holding its own. I want to give you this. As of March, there is $800 billion worth of stock that is held on margin. Okay, for those that you don't know, margin is borrowed money. $800 billion worth of stock that people own, they borrowed the money for. And so you guys get an idea of how you do it. Most stocks, if you have $10,000 worth of cash, you can buy $15,000 worth of stock. You just pay interest to your brokerage house on the other $5,000. If the stock goes down, now you have a margin call. Now you have to pay interest on it. Margin was what brought the Great Depression along with the stock market crash in 1929. The margin rules have changed since then. You can't borrow 90% or whatever it would be. Now it's, for stocks that are marginable, it's 50. But this is where we get to, is when does the straw break the camel's back? What's the number? Is it 16 trillion? Is it 20 trillion? Is it 25 trillion? How much money can be borrowed before there is no more borrowing? And for those people out there that are going, I'll just put it on the credit card and pay it later, which pretty much we've been trained to do since birth. Don't worry about it, have a car payment. Don't worry about it, have a mortgage payment. Don't worry about it, finance your Big Mac and fries. Put it on your credit card. Think about it. How much cash do you really carry? Most people don't, because they'll put it on a debit card or they'll put it on a credit card. Now, I will admit I put everything on a credit card. I will also admit I pay the full balance on my credit card every month. And so the credit card company is paying me by the 1%, 1.5%, 2%, whatever it is, depending on where I shop cash back. Okay, so I'm using their system against them. Some people do that, and that's a good thing, okay? Most people don't. They go, oh, I'm getting 2% back. Yeah, great. You're paying 24% interest. So guess what? You are still paying 22% interest, whatever it would be. This is the thing. This is what's going to cause the United States to implode. You know, besides the fact of high crime, besides the fact of government overreach, government incompetence, whatever would be, the southern border, pick something, okay? Government waste, government spending, government idiocity, okay? Joe Average is not a saint in all of this. I mean, if Joe Average has half the debt combined that the US government does, we got a problem too. And what's going to happen? Y'all have seen all the stories on rent going up and everything. Those people eventually are going to lose an apartment because they're not paying their rent. Those credit cards have to get paid. And if we have, which is inevitably coming, guys, a massive amount of bankruptcies filed, which means the banks don't get paid on all the stuff that they've loaned this money out for. Somehow, all these companies are going to have to make their money back. And all that means at that point is we have hyperinflation. Y'all know as well as I do, every time you see one of these, oh, so-and-so won $60 million from the insurance company because they spilled hot coffee in their lap or whatever. You all remember that story. Okay. Sure, the insurance company's got to write a $60 million check or whatever the dollar amount is. What happens? Well, everybody's insurance premiums are going up because the insurance company's got to recoup that money. Look at Obamacare. Perfect example. Gee, we've got to bring 30 million people and get them health insurance that can't afford to pay it on their own. What happened to you and me? We all got to pay more for our health insurance. Okay, so now 95 cents on the dollar that my premium is goes to pay for my insurance, and the other 5 cents on the dollar, I'm making those numbers up, go to pay for Joe Illegal's insurance, or, Joe I don't want to work's insurance, whatever it would be. This is the beginning to the end, and how it's going to face us. Some of us will be able to hang on longer than others, those that aren't in debt. But what that's going to mean to each one of us is we're going to wind up having to pay all those other people's debts. Look at this whole deal on, Biden wanting to forgive $10,000 worth of student loans. AOC and Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren want to eliminate $50,000 worth of people's student loans. Somewhere, somehow, that money's got to get paid. Gee, what's going to happen? They're going to raise your taxes. I just want to put that out there, guys. Debt, like I mentioned the other day, and Danny talked about on Deep South Homestead, will kill you. The only way that you are going to make it through the guaranteed coming economic collapse is to not have any debt. Have a good one. Pinball out.